The Book of Alma, chapter 23. And now it came to pass in the commencement of the 25th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nepheh, they having established peace between the people of Lehi and the people of Moranton concerning their lands, and having commenced the 25th year in peace. Nevertheless, they did not long maintain an entire peace in the land, for there began to be a contention among the people concerning the chief judge, Pahoran. For behold, there were a part of the people which desired that a few particular points of the law should be altered. But behold, Pahoran would not alter, nor suffer the law to be altered. Therefore he did not hearken to those who had sent in their voices with their petitions concerning the altering of the law. Therefore those which were desirous that the law should be altered were angry with him, and desired that he should no longer be chief judge over the land. Therefore there arose a warm dispute concerning the matter, but not unto bloodshed. Of the people who desired, those who were desirous. And so, if we look to the languages that Joseph Smith would have been exposed, Hebrew to Aramaic, Greek, Latin, I don't know what else that he would have directly been exposed to in some level of living or understanding of a term being translated way. But a person can say that there are some mysteries in the Book of Mormon attached to the names used, decipherable as such. And it came to pass that those who were desirous to see Pahoran should be dethroned from the judgment seat were called kingmen, for they were desirous that the law should be altered in a manner to overthrow the free government and to establish a king over the land. And those who were desirous that Pahoran should remain chief judge over the land took upon them the name of freemen. And thus was the division among them, for the freemen had sworn or covenanted to maintain the rights and the privileges of their religion by a free government. And it came to pass that this matter of their contention was settled by the voice of the people. And it came to pass that the voice of the people came in the favor of the freemen, and Pahoran retained the judgment seat, which caused much rejoicing among the brethren of Pahoran, and also many of the people of liberty, which also put the kingmen to silence, that they durst not oppose, but were obliged to maintain the cause of freedom. Now, those which were in favor of kings were those of high birth, and they sought to be kings, and they were supported by those which sought power and authority over the people. But behold, this was a critical time for such contentions to be among the people of Nepheh. For behold, Amalekah had again stirred up the hearts of the people of the Lamanites against the people of the Nephites, and he was gathering together soldiers from all parts of his land, and arming them and preparing for war with all diligence, for he had sworn to drink the blood of Morana. But behold, we shall see that his promise which he made was rash. Nevertheless, he did prepare himself and his armies to come to battle against the Nephites. Now his armies were not so great as they had hitherto been, because of the many thousands which had been slain by the hand of the Nephites. But, notwithstanding their great loss, Amalekah had gathered together a wonderful great army. insomuch that he feared not to come down to the land of Zarahemla. Yea, even Amalekah did himself come down at the head of the Lamanites. And it was in the 25th year of the reign of the judges, and it was at the same time that they had began to settle the affairs of their contentions concerning the chief judge Pahoran. They had begun to settle together a wonderfully great army, thousands who had been slain, those who sought power, those who were in favor, liberty who also in favor of the freemen. Nowadays we have the talk of liberals and conservatives that has nothing to do with liberals and conservatives. Both sides tend to be very conservative. They let, these other people form their opinions for them, right? And people talk of people wanting religious and family and medical freedom like that is fascism. And, it's opposite sides of the level of government control. Because it goes from dictator, communist, fascist, corporatist on one side, and anarchist, libertarian on the other. But I don't mean libertarian the political party, because they're bought off by the corporations too, let's not pretend. And it came to pass that when the men which were called kingmen had heard that the Lamanites were coming down to battle against them, they were glad in their hearts, and they refused to take up arms. For they were so wroth with the chief judge, and also with the people of liberty, that they would not take up arms to defend their country. And it came to pass that when Moroni saw this, and also saw that the Lamanites were coming into the borders of the land, he was exceeding wroth, because of the stubbornness of those people of whom he had labored with so much diligence to preserve. Yea, he was exceeding wroth. His soul was filled with anger against them. And it came to pass that he sent a petition with the voice of the people unto the governor of the land, desiring that he should read it, and give him, Moroni, power to compel those dissenters to defend their country, or to put them to death. For it was his first care to put an end to such contentions and dissensions among the people. For behold, this had been hitherto a cause of all their destruction. And it came to pass that it was granted according to the voice of the people. And dissensions, people whom he had, the men who were called, some of the spirit of what was going on in the Book of Mormon could have been carried on from the war of 1812, right? Was it 1812 the British tried to reinstate the United States as part of them? And it came to pass that Moroni commanded that his army should go against those kingmen to pull down their pride and their nobility, and level them with the earth, or they should take up arms and support the cause of liberty. And it came to pass that the armies did march forth against them, and they did pull down their pride and their nobility, insomuch that as they did lift their weapons of war to fight against the men of Moroni, they were hewn down and leveled to the earth. And it came to pass that there were 4,000 of those dissenters, which were hewn down by the sword, and those of their leaders, which were not slain in battle, were taken and cast into prison, for there was no time for their trials at this period. And the remainder of those dissenters, rather than to be smote down to the earth by the sword, yielded to the standard of liberty, and were compelled to hoist the title of liberty upon their towers and in their cities, and to take up arms in defense of their country. And thus Moroni put an end to those kingmen, that there was not any known by the appellation of kingmen, and thus he put an end to the stubbornness and the pride of those people which professed the blood of nobility. But they were brought down to humble themselves like unto their brethren, and to fight valiantly for their freedom from bondage. Those people who professed rather than be smitten down, leaders who were dissenters who were leveled with one L. Behold, it came to pass that when Morana was thus breaking down the wars and contentions among his own people, and subjecting them to peace and civilization, and making regulations to prepare for war against the Lamanites, behold, the Lamanites had come into the land of Morana, which was in the borders by the seashore. And it came to pass that the Nephites were not sufficiently strong in the city of Morana. Therefore Amalekah did drive them, slaying many. And it came to pass that Amalekah took possession of the city, yea, possession of all their fortifications. And those which fled out of the city of Morana came to the city of Nephihah. And also the people of the city of Leheth gathered themselves together, and made preparations, and were ready to receive the Lamanites to battle. And those who fled. But it came to pass that Amalekah would not suffer the Lamanites to go against the city of Nephihah to battle, but kept them down by the seashore, leaving men in every city to maintain and defend it. And thus he went on, taking possession of many cities, the city of Nephihah, and the city of Leheth, and the city of Morianton, and the city of Amner, and the city of Ged, and the city of Mulek, all of which were on the east borders by the seashore. And thus had the Lamanites obtained by the cunning of Amalekah so many cities by their numberless hosts, all of which were strongly fortified after the manner of the fortifications of Morana, all of which afforded strongholds for the Lamanites. And it came to pass that they marched to the borders of the land bountiful, driving the Nephites before them, and slaying many. But it came to pass that they were met by Teancum, who had slain Morianton, and had headed his people in his flight. And it came to pass that he headed Amalekah also, as he was marching forth with his numerous army, that he might take possession of the land bountiful, and also the land northward. But behold, he met with a disappointment, by being repulsed by Teancum and his men, for they were great warriors, for every man of Teancum did exceed the Lamanites in their strength and in their skill of war, insomuch that they did gain advantage over the Lamanites. And it came to pass that they did harass them, inasmuch that they did slay them, even until it was dark. And it came to pass that Teancum and his men did pitch their tents in the borders of the land bountiful, and Amalekah did pitch his tents in the borders on the beach by the seashore. After this manner were they driven. And it came to pass that when the night had come, Teancum and his servant stole forth and went out by night, and went into the camp of Amalekah. And behold, sleep had overpowered them, because of their much fatigue, which was caused by the labors and heat of the day. And it came to pass that Teancum stole privily into the tent of the king, and put a javelin to his heart, and he did cause the death of the king immediately, that he did not awake his servants. And he returned again privily to his own camp, and behold, his men were asleep. And he awoke them, and told them all the things that he had done. And he caused that his army should stand in readiness, lest the Lamanites had awoke, and should come upon them. And thus ended the 25th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nepheh, and thus ended the days of Amalickiah. And so the Lamanites had awakened, and should come upon them, and thus endeth the days of Amalickiah. We see very much that the Book of Mormon addresses the mother stage. In the mother stage, you have the stories. In the father stage, you have, the commandments, are the points that are explicitly mentioned. And in the child stage, you have the, you got the experience of it, I guess, but you also got, what do you have? You got the meaning, you got the spirit of it, so the hermetic sense of it all.